It's been a while, and I'm glad I'm back. So I'm gonna start this channel all up again. The strange thing is I've been telling random people about my YouTube channel that I haven't posted in like over what 6 months to a year maybe, and I still get random subscribers. And unlike video games where I despise randoms, on YouTube I love randoms. So thank you guys for subscribing to absolutely nothing, and I'm gonna change that today. I'm going to bring back Bread and Circus. And specifically, I'm going to bring back a part of Bread and Circus called the things people type. You ever go on YouTube? Of course you do. YouTube, TikTok, wherever there's comments, and you see people, especially Facebook. I don't have a Facebook. I try to avoid that. That's another conversation later. Ultimately, I'm probably going to need a Facebook though. But you ever go to these YouTube comments on a hot button issue and you see the dumbest, most ignorant, incendiary comments you have ever seen? Just when I was younger, I used to get into full-fledged arguments until I realized it's pointless. That's what they want to do, or I mean, it's just pointless to do that. So instead, I'm like, to supplement my show and for content, I will talk briefly or sometimes at length about the dumb stuff people type. I will talk about it, give it my undivided attention, and then share it with you guys, and then you guys can carry the conversation. So I'm gonna call it the things people type. And if it gets really good, I will then make another video called, it's called Bread and Circus. That was the original concept. It's somewhere on the playlist, but like it'll be me like going in depth about it, but about that subject. So today we're talking about and you know what? I'm gonna try to include the link at the bottom so you guys can go to what I'm talking about. But go to the YouTube channel or the YouTube. This one was posted by Routers. Basically, it was about a bunch of armed protesters entering the building, the state building in Michigan. And the head, what I'm gonna put. Of course, we have people talking about what would happen if black people went inside the building with guns. And anytime you get black, gun, white, and what would happen, you get the gamut of idiot just coming out of everybody. Some people tell the truth, regardless of the color they are. Some people, again, regardless of the color they are, exaggerate and act stupid. So we're going to talk about a couple things that I read. And one of these people, I don't know what the rules are about naming people on YouTube. I don't know if there's a privacy thing. So I'm simply just going to say one of these people, and then with the link, you can just go back and figure it out yourself. All right. So obviously, it's a bunch of armed protesters, and they're running in there, and it's about the catastrophe that's going on right now, the pandemic, social distancing, just taking all the necessary health precautions. And of course, you got the 50-50 split of retardation and people being civilized. You got some people saying governments are treading on your rights, and I think one person said that the stay-at-home order is akin to slavery. Yeah, stuff like that. Anyways, so a poster put on YouTube today, let a bunch of black people show up to the Capitol inside with guns. What would happen? So this one guy says, why not? If he actually, let me finish this. Why not? There's armed black biker clubs in Texas, and they're all supporters of the Constitution. What would be the difference? Would the government agents you love so much open fire just because they're black and in a group? Okay, so let's talk about this, right? He is using the excuse of black biker clubs in Texas. First of all, Texas is a open carry. I believe they have like a long gun rule. If you have a rifle or something like that, you can open. It's an open carry state. It's open carry. So even if they weren't bikers and there's just a group of people carrying guns out in the open, as long as you obey the I think there's like rules and regulations on private establishments and businesses. As long as you obey those rules, that's right. You can walk around in your typical, yeah, a black bike gang riding around in Texas with guns. That is a false equivalency. That's not what's going on here. First of all, you cannot bring guns into a government federal building unless you got to get some type of special rule or permit. Obviously, that happened in Michigan. That's why all of those mostly Caucasian European people walked up in there with the weapons. So, for my fanatics that happen to be black or any other minority group or white people that are wondering, I'm assuming that they had to get special permission to walk their asses up in there with guns. Secondly, no more false equivalencies. Well, the black biker gang in an open carry state, if you're going to use that example, use it correctly. That's just like me saying, oh, that's just like that's just like me saying, I went to a basketball court and people were playing basketball. Nobody got in trouble, but I went in the church and somebody was trying to slam dunk the preacher in the pulpit. Two different things, man. Two different things. It's like going to a fight and a hockey game broke out versus going to a hockey game and a fight broke out. Do you understand the simple brilliance of that analogy? You probably do. Do you understand that? That's just, that's that's the equivalent of saying this guy was inside of his own house walking naked, or the cops gonna break in and shoot him, versus some weirdo was out there in a parking lot flashing people in trench coat. Just and he's like, "What the government agents you love so much open fire just because they're black?" Where do you insinuate that there's love with the federal? It was a question, all right? And if you're saying black people carrying guns is not a problem and it's never been a problem in the history of man, Steve, I'm just gonna give these guys made up names. Steve, you're tripping. Steve, you're tripping. Make no mistake. Make no mistake, man. Um, I don't understand why people don't realize this. I don't understand why they don't get it. And I hate to I hate to be the one to say it's because you're white and you live in a bubble, you know what you're talking about. But I'm gonna go out on a limb and say, check this out, man. In America, what does the Congress look like? What does the Senate look like? Who's our president? You guys know the answer to all of that. And then of course the president before, but notwithstanding him, what do you see? It's a bunch of white people. Now, before you start typing, relax. Let me finish. It's not meant to be incendiary. I'm just saying the power structure is where the white people are the majority. Why do you care? Why am I talking about this? Easy. Um, why is it? Why is it in the first place that when white people carry guns, nobody trips? Well, recently people are starting to trip because you got a bunch of crazies out there doing crazy stuff. But in general, for example, what would make a person say a bunch of white people walk up in there with guns, nobody says anything? What about black people? Why is that said in the first place? It is because for so long, black people have been demonized. Not just black people, minorities in general, but I'm specifically saying black because of the comment. Black people have been demonized. They've been known as thugs and gangsters and rapping and stuff like that, and you just don't want them to have guns because apparently in the culture they glorify violence, right? That's what the outside looking in sees. However, you're gonna sit here and tell me let's use the movies. We'll leave the music industry and we'll go into television. I have seen, you have seen way more white people kill white people or people in general with guns than you have black people killing whatever. You've seen it more, but for some strange reason, you don't. That doesn't register to you. That doesn't. All you think about if you see a black person with a gun is for some strange reason rap music, which is you got to ask yourself a question: what are you thinking about rap music and guns in the first place? One would say that, oh, you're so scared and you're appalled, and others might say you like it, you like rap music, you think it's, but you know, and just some of these people are completely and utterly out of touch. You know, you had another person, but now I'm gonna say this name because I know this name is made up. Alataf Hindi, right? Alataf Hindi says, African Americans, guys, this is reality. You guys, African Americans, are just as racist as the system you claim to oppress. Spelled oppress wrong. Two wrongs don't make a right. Okay, so let's talk about this. Um, Again, this was in response to what would happen if a bunch of black people walked inside the building, and then Miss Hindi over here, Mister It, says that by making that comment, you guys are racist, and you're oppressed. Let's talk about that real fast, guys. First and foremost, racism on either side is disgusting. If you're white and you're racist, you're a clown. If you're black and you're a racist, you're a clown. If you're blue, aquamarine, or maroon and you're a racist, you are colorful clowns. And that's just the way it is. But let's think about it for a second, right? Racism. If a black person was racist, if a minority was racist, again, what did I talk about earlier in the video? What did I talk about? It's a majority, there's a power structure out here. You understand? So I'm not dismissing racism, but to say that black people, you're making it seem that black people and their racism can affect your life. No, they cannot affect your life because the power is not tilted in minorities' hands. That's why people scared. I don't want to get into it. The whole white race being phased out, a lot of Hispanics and stuff. Like, that's why they're scared of it. Like, listen, it goes back to the whole movies killing and nobody's paying attention. Listen, if I'm white and I'm part of the power, the majority, and I'm part of that culture, then that means that in my self-interest, since I happen to be white and I'm in that field of power, I can I can write legislation, policies, movements that will give me an advantage and really affect your life. Oh my God, he's playing victim. Oh, bullshit. Bullshit. Gerrymandering, redistricting, redlining. I'm just going to use those. What do you know what those are? I'm not going to explain it on here. Google it. Like, what I'm trying to say is if a black man was racist, could he stop you from going to college? Or better yet, how about this? I'll do you a better one. Let's say the black guy was racist, right? Could he stop you from getting a bank account? Could he stop you from owning a home? And when I say he, I mean as an indication of a population. No. Can I stop you from joining an HOA? Can I stop you from gaining status and going into a country club? Could I hide behind an institutionalized racism within a company and make sure you're not hired when the majority of people that are doing the hiring are the people that look like you? And if you were racist, if there was a small chance that you, in fact, were racist and you had that power as a gatekeeper, then you could affect people's lives tremendously. Racism, anything with the word ism means the belief that something is better. So if my race is better and I'm white, but I control the gates to many of these facets in life and I can deny a large proportion of another race entry, that is in fact racism. I'm doing it because we are better than you. So again, I'm not saying black people can't be racist, but what I am saying is, when has that ever stopped you from anything? Well, when has white racism stopped you? You're not getting it. FYI, it has stopped me from a couple of opportunities. But guess what? Black people have stopped me too. I'm gonna be completely honest with you. Not as much, very little, very rare. That's a whole nother video. But that has happened as well. But it's mostly, you know what it is, man. You know what it is. I was reading a comment one day. This brother had a bachelor's degree, whatever. Went to a job. He looked at the leadership wall. Nothing but white people. Now some people are like, well, they worked hard to get there. What is wrong with that? Nothing at first, until you realize that there's a reason why there are really no leaders of color. And of color, that means non-white and non-black, just of color. How about black and how about everybody isn't white? Just do it that way. Well, what's wrong with that? Nothing's wrong with that until you realize that 90% of your workforce are minorities with no minority representation. Well, they just didn't work hard enough to get that. Well, how do you know that? How do you? And that's the thing. Like, how do you know? Long story short, this guy didn't get the job, and he thinks that it was a result of racism. Maybe he had a bad interview, maybe he didn't. But I'm going to quickly say, from my little experience, that it's there. Like again, that's something else. This is already about to be a long video, so I guess I'll cut it short. It's just, and then when I do this in the future, it's going to be a little bit more streamlined. These thoughts are just coming out of my mind, just left and right, left and right, left and right. But like I have you seen the pictures of some of these people that are in this? These guys look like they're characters from Call of Duty. Does it really look? I this might be me, but I'm telling you, some of these people they want an excuse to carry the guns, carry the vest, and carry the mask. I guess they're just ready for anything. Now, I'll be honest with you, whether you're white, black, Indonesian, Parisian, whatever, like if you go out there looking like a no limit soldier, you can't look at none of those people black. If you go out there looking like a soldier when you're not a soldier, or if you go out there looking geared up in the first place, people are going to look, whether you're black, white, whatever. They're just gonna look. You know what I mean? Um, we had another person. I'll tell you what would happen if a lot of black people showed up with guns. Congresswoman Tlaib wouldn't say anything. Now that statement right there is racially implicit because I believe they're talking about Rashida Tlaib, and she's been known to be quite boisterous in her beliefs of race relations, rights, and all this other stuff. But the mere fact that this had nothing to do with Tlaib and this guy said it is because her last name was Tlaib. It's simply because her last name sounded black, and he just had to say that. He wouldn't say that. I'm cool, guys. I'm typing on my laptop. Yeah, I just said that. I'm sticking it. You're a clown. And anonymity is your best friend. Well, I guess the last thing, look at this guy. And then this guy tried to come at me because I called somebody a moron. This guy tried to come at me and say, Uh, let's see. The Black Panthers did the same thing in the 60s. They were called a militia group and investigated by FBI. He is absolutely correct. And I told him in a response, I was like, brother, you're coming after the wrong guy. I agree with you. And you're right. You're right. So to answer the lady's original question, that did happen. And the cops or the Alphabet Boys were called. And then they put more effort and energy into finding the Black Panthers, then the KKK, then the Weathermen Underground, then all of these other extremist groups, man, all of them. Edgar J. Hoover said at one point in time the greatest threat to, I'm going to paraphrase, phrase, the fabric of America is black, like, he didn't say black extremism or diddy, but he was talking about the Black Panthers. Seriously? In the 1960s, with assassinations of JFK by a white guy, RFK by some I don't know what that guy. I don't know if he's Middle East or Southeast Asian, whatever. Um, you had the bombings from the Weathermen Underground. You had the KKK. You had secret deals going on with Vietnam and or with the missile crisis. You had all of this stuff going on, but your biggest threat was black people. That should tell you enough, man. And then we had this one clown. At 17 minutes. I'm about to call it down, man. We have this one clown. This guy. Let me find it real quick, man. And see in the future, I'll have this all right and ready to go. Oh, that's his name. I'm gonna say his name. Period. His name is Alpha Zooks. ALPHAZEUX. This guy was like, yeah, if black people show up, they'll probably rap. Why would you say that? Do you equate every black person you meet with rapping? I don't understand. You do realize that perhaps, I'm going to put a little controversy, you do realize that, again, it's going to be controversial. You do realize that the best rapper is Eminem, and he's white, you know? And I know I might get some heat or some stuff like that. We can talk about that in another video, but nobody's, nobody's touching Eminem, and you know it. You know it. Anyways, so I don't understand why you equate black people with rapping. Like I don't understand why you would automatically do it. Um, Ben Carson, Gunner talks like this and said that when he was younger, he picked up an ice pick and stabbed him. Whatever. The guy that's in charge of HUD, does he strike you as a rapper? Newsflash, he's a heart surgeon. Or is it a brain surgeon? Is he a brain surgeon? He's something up there. He's black. Barack Obama doesn't rap. He listens to it. I'm not a rapper. Just like I don't think you're a fucking redneck, backwooted country. You know what? I'm not just gonna assume it. Like I don't get it. And there was another comment that was like, was another comment like They'll probably be up there, pants sagging, talking in Ebonics and stuff like that. That was another comment. You said that. Look at me. Look at me when I tell you this. How many black people have you actually met? And I'm being straight up. Now, yes, I do see people sag. I see a lot of people sag. And half the time it's because they're not wearing belts. I see a lot of people sag. I don't know if it's because last night you were up watching a Martin marathon and you were listening to bro man, hey man, just chilling, or you were listening or you were watching that movie, Don't Be a Menace while drinking juice in the hood, and like these exaggerated caricatures of black people. Like, where are you getting this? Are you trying to be funny, or are you really serious? Like, what are you talking about? Not all black people talk like that. I know you don't gotta be black to talk like that. Do you even know what ebonics means? Have you even looked? So, anyways, guys, we're at the 20-minute mark. We're going to cut it off. But this is going to be the beginning of something funny and good. Next time I'll be more concise, more to the point. Maybe I'll have a couple of comments just already picked out, maybe three, and we'll just go from there. But yeah, man. So the things people type, or I tell you.